I'm Marle. This channel exists to connect gamers to MMOs they'll love. In this series, I play an old-school, non-instance, group-based, refreshingly deep MMORPG called Arelith. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more MMO content. In the last episode, as I was preparing to open the metal door with pregnant promise, while resting in my most vulnerable state, a loud sound erupted from a nearby doorway. I immediately turned to investigate, yet it appears as if the coast is clear, or at least I hope. I buff up and open the door to face my fears. But the door is locked. There must be a lever around to get inside. Realizing I would likely not fare well against a boss if I was not confident against a pack of his underlings, I returned to wine to help clean up the granary. While Az and I fought well in an earlier episode, I still require recompense as a solo fighter. You can give rat tails to her in exchange for experience and coin. I'm going to need all I can get in a few minutes, as the featured image of this episode implies. So I'm glad I make this choice now. I walk into the granary fully buffed, which, as you remember, is quite a contrast from our earlier attempt. We climb the ladder upwards, and as expected, are ambushed by a pack of rodents. You can see that when we kill one, a writ update is given in the console, so I know I'm in the right area. We journey downstairs to test our luck against what lurks below. Upon loading in, we stumble upon Sard's corpse. Let's hope it's not an ill omen for our adventure. I turn the corner carefully, looking for packs of vermin, and embrace an ambush. While a close fight, we succeed. We open the curtain, and right behind it is another pack of rats. We dispatch them quickly enough. After scouting the room, I realized I need to be fully buffed before fighting without help. I return back, rest, and buff up. Watch what happens. My familiar almost instantly dies. The werecat lands a critical strike. And then another. I'm now fading into death's clutches, yet hope to stabilize. Neither the feline nor the rodent continue to remain aggressive, yet I continue to drift further away from life's grasp. Marle, without a knee, joins Mira in death. Presumably, the last critical strike was so powerful that the typical amount of wound damage you take was enough to send my soul to the fugue plane within the City of Judgment. You still keep your gear in inventory after death. There are no corpse runs like in classic EverQuest. However, there are 4 penalties of death in Arelith, and these are controversial. First, you do lose some experience and all gold on your character when you die. Secondly, if no one can resurrect you, you must wait 5 minutes before accessing the planar portal to exit. You also lose time returning to where your body was, assuming you wish to continue fighting. Last yet not least, when you choose to return to the mortal realm via the hidden portal, you lose experience again. I personally find the layered penalties a bit excessive. I'd rather that you only lose experience once and that there's no time to wait to return. Be that as it may, these cause death to be meaningful and adventures visceral. You do not want to die. Thankfully, I lose only about 100 experience total, which can be earned back in about 5 minutes. I return again to the cellar and pass the corpse that prophesied my death. More rats are encountered, and I use them to recover lost experience. Behind the curtain is another pack, so I'm quickly recovering anything taxed away by death. But it's revenge time. Watch what happens. I tried to lure only one, yet the others followed. I use the distance to cast a chain lightning, which bounces across adjacent foes for a helpful amount of damage. This pulls their attention from Mira to me, so she can deal damage while I tank. One by one, we thin their numbers, yet all it takes is a critical strike to send us back to the feud. Mira dies, which historically is not auspicious. Just after I heal, a rat lands a critical strike, yet the werecat falls over, presumably because of the toxin applied by Mira's venom. Veterans can clarify why this happened, yet I'm taking full advantage, since prone characters lose all dexterity bonus to their AC. I'm surrounded, yet light is at the end of the quickly dimming tunnel. I land a few hits, and my recompense has been brought forth. However, my corpse is not here, and I'm not sure why. Regardless, I make my way to the storage room. I find a pile of gold, a crafting reagent, and a magical skull. I have no idea for what purpose the cranium is useful. On my way up, I see Rando, a scythe-wielding warrior. Since Arelith is a non-instanced MMORPG, I told the adventurer that I had cleared the downstairs as a common courtesy to avoid his time being wasted. While potentially frustrating for him, the benefit of a non-instance world is that players have to negotiate shared resources, including mob, treasure, and resource spawns. This causes either competition among or collaboration with others, which makes Arelith all the more social. I walk through Scalyard and enter its lodge. It's a useful building with several important NPCs and player-run stalls. I check a few to learn about the area's regional loot, what can be crafted locally, or what has been imported from the mainland. A red background of an item means I cannot use it due to some restriction, whether it be level, alignment, race, or something else. You can sell almost any item in these stalls, which can be rented for a certain price each in-game month. Some players only play as crafters or merchants. You can see that gear can modify skills, add feats, grant spells, and more. This is just the beginning to customizing gear in Arelith, and we'll cover the other details when the time is right. As I continue to look for affordable equipment, enjoy the superb soundtrack. After learning about the local wares, I make my way towards Eogon, the bartender, wiping down a tankard of mead. You can learn much from him, so read his dialogue. I inquire about work, to which he hints about two opportunities that are, to my knowledge, not associated with writs, yet veterans of Arelith can correct me. The first is selling him any animal meat. Remember the small meat from the rats we've been looting? They have their use here. He also recommends helping down in the cellar, which we already, incidentally, surveyed. I walk into the main room and you can see an array of NPCs, most of whom are important.
Hello.
I speak with Hysandral, whose ears twitch at my approach. He buys animal pelts, so now we know a use for the rodent products we've been storing in our bag. There are even more player vendor stalls here worth looking through. I open the door and immediately see an injured adventurer. Being polite, I heal him. He is unresponsive, so I carry on my way. I walk towards the fire, and you can see a band of explorers sitting near the licking flames, perhaps about to embark on their next journey deep into the frozen tundra of Skal. After logging back into Arelith, my character exists at an end-of-time Chrono Trigger-esque location from which all servers are accessible. This is likely because the lovely support staff answered my support ticket and added an E to Marle's name. Thank you, Arelith DM team. Your labor of love has not gone unnoticed. I select Skal since that's where my Toon story is taking place. Marle with an E is back. Remember in my last episode in which I said that there are other reasons why I invested heavily into dexterity? Typically, melee attacks use your strength modifier to add to your 1 die 20 attack roll. However, I chose the feat Weapon Finesse that instead enables me to use my dex modifier instead. I make my way to the mayor's office to view available writs.
Well met.
Because all available men are currently protecting the village, Havding is paying adventurers like me to patrol the area. I appreciate this type of writ because it encourages exploring several areas which may lead to additional opportunities. Moreover, it pulls new players to learn the geography. Navigating Skal is akin to traveling in early EverQuest. It isn't easy, and knowledge is power. Remember my choice because it'll become important later. I leave his office and inspect Amaja, a henchman. Somewhat recently, Arelith developers added henchmen you can hire, assuming your character's leadership skill is sufficiently high. Each is well written, has a story to tell like in JRPGs, and is useful in combat. Hiring henchmen is one reason why I invest into this skill leadership, and later in the series, we'll see them in action.
Greetings and well met.
Remember the werecat head Az gave to me? I walk up a path adjacent to the windmill and into a militia office to speak with Gilda. She buys the heads of bosses. The skill leadership also increases the value of each head, and at this point in Marle's journey, every gold piece counts. Knowing the mayor has commissioned me to explore the surrounding areas, I move to the edge of Skalyard's territory and buff up. Taking one step out into the wilds unprotected is a death sentence. I choose to equip a bow since they use your character's dexterity modifier by default to hit, and affords me distance in the event a situation becomes dire. As I zone in, combat immediately takes place. Luckily, this zone in particular has an outpost with an NPC and a friendly Timberwolf who attack hostile NPCs or player characters who attack them. They are like guards in EverQuest and can save your life if you need to run away from a dangerous encounter. You can see that I still gain experience even though I did not participate in combat. Proximity is the determiner whether or not experience is earned, not if you're grouped. See the mob with the yellow name? That means it's unique and likely drops better loot, yet is far tougher than standard creatures here. I pull with my bow and combat begins. Mira immediately flies to my target. The Timberwolf joins yet struggles tanking. Since we're in melee, I equip my sword and cast an imbue weapon, during which they slay the badger. You can see that using guards can be a useful tactic. When I loot the Craig cask, you see that the meat is medium. Remember the bartender from earlier? You can earn more money selling bigger slabs of meat. I see a lone badger and attempt to ambush it. However, there was a Hast eagle nearby that went unnoticed by my character. So now I'm the target of the hawkish surprise attack. I presume that I could have seen her had my spot skill been higher. Despite being a bird, it's tough and hits hard. Meanwhile, the badger continues to flank and deal periodic damage. Mara finally lands the killing blow and we turn our attention to the aggressive mammal. After trading blows, we finish wounded, yet victorious. As I buff up again to continue adventuring deeper into the wilds, I deem every level is meaningful in Arelith, and the feeling reminds me of progressing in classic EverQuest. As I level up, enjoy the soundscape, music, and water lipping in the background. More spells become available and you'll see them in action later. I finish buffing and head deeper into the wilderness. The ambience here is perfect. Dense fog, moans creeping forth from the dense thicket surrounded by haunting music. I can hardly see what may be in front of me. I take only a few steps at a time, yet rushing from the clouds are two undead horrors.
I hope you like pain.
I have yet to fight these before, yet more continue to spill from the woods. What's going to happen? Watch the next episode to find out. Thanks for watching.